of them I wanted to say on the internet completely and totally, like, to beat. It's my massage pillow. I keep photobombing the picture. It's very nice because it, like, rubs your back. So basically, I found out something that there was some stuff that there was like some gossip, we're kind of like public figures. I keep hearing, all right, thank you. I keep hearing, I hear bits and pieces of gossip about us because, I don't know, apparently we're public figures, Walt and myself, because we run a fucking fan site, which is fine, but like, I never signed up to be a public figure. I just signed up to run a fan site. And, whatever. But, I do have, I do acting and stuff like that, but like, I run my own company, I have other shit going on besides that. And so basically I found out there was a lie, some type of cock and bull story, and it's really a cock and bull story, going around, but I didn't have the specifics of it, and it's like, ultimately, it's what it is, it's a lie. And, it's probably one of the most vile lies, someone could think of, and a really low blow, because it hits on something that, even if it was true, if it were true, it's probably not it's not something that you could fault me for, but it isn't true. The thing is, somebody found out something about me and they saw it as a weakness, and it's not a weakness. I basically struggled with anxiety, and I had an episode of depression when I was like in my 20s, and I had another one. Well, I had a mild one like maybe mid 30s, like maybe 3 or 4 years ago. No, it was before my father died. My father died in 2008, so it was like 2006. So it was a while back, but like basically what happened, hey Charnette. So this is my story. So basically what happened was the first time I had a really bad anxiety problem, like an anxiety issue, when I was like 12. I was in 8th grade. What's up? And honestly, like, I was in 7th grade and I went to it was supposed to be one of the best counties for like fucking education, public education, but my middle school for some reason had like the shittiest kids. So I was like in maybe 7th or 8th grade, and in 7th grade I had like one friend, and that one friend, like halfway through 7th grade, she's like, I'm moving away, and she moved. So in 8th grade I didn't have a single friend at the school that I was at, like not one single friend at the school. Like, we had just the shittiest kids. I don't know why, because I thought I was a nice person, but like, I don't know, they were just like really stuck up bratty kids. And so like, I think I kind of had a couple little friends like in classes, like people that would tolerate me, but that was about it. So I had that, and I had like my cousin was my best friend at the time. He was like a year younger than me. I would see him on the weekends, we would hang out. Then I had one other friend who was like 5 years younger than me. So I was like 13. She was 8. Yeah. Now we're still best friends. So basically what happened was, my mom had, the year that I was born, my mom was diagnosed with a very rare form of lymphoma. And, she like was sick on and off all through my childhood. Like, she was always going to get treatments, get stuff done. She was constantly getting blood transfusions because that's what you needed to do. So I would go with her sometimes, or but she never missed a single play that I did. She never missed a soccer game that I did. Like, she had this rare disease, and at some point, and I'm not quite sure exactly what happened, because when you're young, you don't really process everything. It's hard to process like all this medical information, but she was an outpatient at NIH because this lymphoma was so rare. She was an outpatient at NIH, so she would go to NIH like once or twice a week, all through my childhood, to get these treatments done. So I was like, all of a sudden out of nowhere, I think it was like 6th or 7th grade, I can't remember when. It was just like, I had about 2 or 3 summers of absolute hell, because the first summer, they discovered that she had a tumor in her lung. And later on, it was discovered that some of the early medicine that was developed to treat this cancer that she had, the blood cancer, actually caused some other types of cancers. So they speculate, because she didn't smoke, she never smoked, so they speculated that maybe that taking that medicine was what prompted having a tumor in her lungs. So all I know is she went to get surgery done to get it all removed. I went upstate to Lake George for 2 weeks. I came back, and it was like my grandmother and I would go with her every day all that summer. I think this was like seventh going into eighth grade. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it was going into eighth grade. All summer long, we went with her every day to get radiation. I would just like sit there in the waiting room with my grandmother, and my dad's always been like, my dad passed away back in 2008, but he's kind of like, I think he became a different person around the time that my mom was diagnosed with initially, like with like year I was born. From what everyone's told me, he was a different person. So I think he changed for some reason and became a very distant individual after that. Like he started distancing himself from like pretty much everyone, the world. And he would just like, he had a full-time job working as an engineer, and he started a side business in addition to that, making hummus. Yes, he made hummus. He started a hummus factory. So he had a full-time job as an engineer and a hummus factory to run. So he was never home because he was always working. And I think that was his way of dealing with everything. Either way, it was like my grandmother and my mom, we were going every single day. We were going every single day to go all summer long. I was just like sitting there out there. I would sit for like an hour, 2 hours while she got radiation, drive her back. And then this happened all summer. It was like really not a fun summer. So I went into eighth grade, and that whole year I just remember it being complete and total shit. My grades were bad. My mom was like, okay, they got all the cancer out, but, and she pretty much came in and told me, she's like, yeah, there's a very good chance it's going to come back, and then I'm going to die within a year of that. Like, she just kind of mentioned that in passing. So here I am in eighth grade, trying to go to school. I have no friends. I'm like, all of a sudden, I'm just like, I just have this horrible feeling. Like, I am in school, and every day I go, I'm just feeling this pain in my stomach. It's in knots. I'm like, I'm nervous. My heart starts to race. I have like this, and what it was I really thought I was sick. I didn't know what was going on with myself, but it was anxiety, and it was me, it was a small bout of depression, I think, but whatever prompted it, it was all this stuff going on that I wasn't quite sure, coming to the realization that I was probably going to lose my mom within a year once the cancer came back, and who knows when that would happen. So, I would say like that's whole eighth grade year of hell, but I eventually got through it, and like by the end of that year, I realized I was done with that school and I'd be going to another school, and so the summer after that was actually worse. Basically, we all thought everything was good. We all thought the cancer had gone away and all this stuff had happened. So the summer after that, I finished eighth grade. I got in the car with my grandmother and my mom. We drove up to Lake George. We went in the cabin. The first night we were there, I went down to the lake to go for a swim, and I came back, and my grandmother's like, your mom is really, really sick. Really, really, really sick. She's really not good. And I was like, what's up? She's just like, she's not sick. She can't get up. She's like in bed. I can't get her to get up. She can barely talk. And I'm just like, what's going on? And she had pneumonia. She had like and when you have lymphoma and stuff like these other cancers, and you get pneumonia, it's like a really bad thing, because your immune system is compromised. So we called a paramedic. We went to the hospital. The hospital up in that area was not equipped to treat her that well, but she was on the ventilator for a week up at that hospital. So our entire vacation plans were like gone, completely gone. So I'm like up there. They airlift her back to NIH. She almost dies going back to NIH. I get in the car. I ride with my aunt and uncle all the way back to NIH, and this is in Bethesda. We go back home to Maryland. She recovers from all this, and the ammonia goes away. Her lung collapsed at some point. The ammonia goes away. The ammonia went away. All I know is by the time it was time for me to enter my freshman year in high school, she was better. Like, she wasn't completely better because she had been bedridden for about a month or two, so she couldn't walk very well, but she was better. I enter high school, and honestly, high school was, I made friends right away because there was like better people there. It was like a much bigger school. Things were starting to go a little bit better than me. But September 13th is my birthday. My birthday, I came home and I went and I was talking to my mom, and she was in bed. She has a seizure. And I didn't know what a seizure was at the time. So I just thought she was going absolutely crazy. And I called the paramedics. They came and got her. They took her to NIH. I spent the night at my aunt's house. And then all I know is like she came back like maybe she recovered from it. They told me what had happened, but they didn't tell me what caused it. So they I at some point it all came out that the cancer had escaped from her lung and gone into her brain, which had caused this seizure. This is on my this is on my birthday, which was September 13th. Um, and my grandmother was trying really, really hard not to let me. She didn't want me to find out any information, so I wasn't told everything. All I know is that she had a brain tumor, and like she came back home like a couple weeks later. She said she has a brain tumor and she's probably gonna die. And I'm like, okay, so I'm trying to process all this information. Yeah, excuse me. But regardless, I go through, I go through my senior year. I'm sorry, I go through my freshman year. My mom ended up actually passing away 2 days after Christmas, uh, that year, because the tumor in the brain. There's nothing they could do about it. It just kept. It was too it was too spread out. They couldn't do anything. No treatment was really gonna help it. So, um, that year, surprisingly enough, I didn't feel anxious. I didn't feel what I felt the year before. I started. My dad was like, try to be around a little bit more often. But for the most part, I was coming home to an empty house after school. We had he had one of the nurses, um, who was who took care of my mom, had like a live-in nurse for a while. Not a live-in nurse, but she would come like every day, all day, and then go home. She lived down the street. He had her stay with us for a while, just not stay with us, but she would come every day just to check on me. Wouldn't want to call it. Yeah, it is very hard. I wouldn't want to call it a babysitter, but I guess like kind of like a nanny. Like I don't know if you're 14 years old, you really need a nanny, but I guess my dad felt like someone should be there for me. And eventually, she kind of like went away because my dad was like, I can't keep paying someone to keep just be there to keep you company every day. I was like, okay. So, I things actually, and I was able to go through high school. I didn't have any episodes with anxiety or depression. I really, I dealt with my grief. I didn't go through any type of counseling or anything. My final year, I graduated, and I was getting ready after I graduated. That summer, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but I was feeling very anxious about my whole life, about like my future and what I was going to be doing and changing, schools because I ended up actually enjoyed high school, and I had a lot of friends that I'd be leaving behind. So I started having like I couldn't eat, like out of nowhere I couldn't eat anything, and I had no appetite, and like my stomach turned into like that knotty feeling, and it was constant all day every day. So I was just like, I'm sick, something's wrong with me, I have no appetite. Usually if you don't have an appetite and you start losing weight, yeah, I had that feeling, but it was like 24/7, and I would wake up and I'd try to eat something and I felt like I had to throw up. And it's just like not, it's a horrible, horrible feeling. And I was like, I'm sick. So the doctors went and ran some tests on me because I started losing weight. So if you don't have an appetite and you're losing weight, that's kind of like a red flag for something being medically wrong with you. So they ran all these tests on me, and they were like, "You're anemic," which is not a good sign because your mom's lymphoma. That's a symptom of it, and even though it's not necessarily hereditary, it can run in families. So this freaked me out completely, and I guess a week or two went by. All my tests came back normal, so they determined at that point, they're like, "There's nothing wrong with you. This is all in your head." And I didn't quite understand what that meant, but anxiety, it's a misdiagnosis because anxiety is not all in your head. Anxiety is a real issue. It's a real problem. They didn't say you're anxious or whatever. They just said it's all in your head. So I don't know. I thought I was kind of going crazy because I was like, well, I still can't eat. They put me on iron pills because I was anemic. And they said you need to start eating because you're 98 pounds. So I was like, I started trying to eat. I spent a week. Yeah, it was crazy. That happened to you too. That's insane. I spent a week with my aunt. She's actually not a real aunt. She's an aunt by friendship, and with like her daughter, who is my best friend. And I don't know. She basically had to drill it into my head every day. I woke up, I would start freaking out. She had to drill it in my head that there was nothing wrong with me because I couldn't accept that there was. I was like, there's something they're missing. There's something wrong with me. I can't eat. Like I didn't know what anxiety or depression really was. So eventually, after about a week of her actually making food for me too, because honestly, when my mom passed away, I didn't really know how to cook very well. So there were only a few things that I ate on my own. It was like hummus because my dad made hummus, and like all the Middle Eastern foods that he ate. Like that wasn't even like you don't have to cook that stuff. You just like pull it out and you eat it. I can make spaghetti, and I knew how to order pizza. That was it. So all this I knew how to do, but my aunt was actually cooking for me, which is something didn't have for like 4 years because my mom had passed away. Yeah. So, your mom doesn't cook for you? What the hell? And you have parents, and no excuse. Yeah, so I know, yeah, so then I still don't know how to cook. Honestly, this is why I don't know how there's a lot of stuff I didn't know how to do for a very long time. Yeah, my dad was busy with both jobs. He didn't have to be busy with both jobs, but like I said, he was still very distant. He was around more after my mom passed away. He was like, I'm going to be around. But I mean, I woke up in the morning and I'd get up before school, and it was dark because my school was like, I had to be at school at 7:45. He'd leave before then. And then I'd get home at night, and he wouldn't get home until like 7 o'clock at night. And I'm like, why are you gone all day? So, anyways, yeah. But so, and he also, like, my dad also didn't know how to do any of this stuff because my mom did all this stuff. I don't think he even knew how to do laundry. Like, I started doing his laundry. Yeah, your dad was busy with the job. He had his business too. Yeah. He was, when you have a business, it does occupy all your time, but then to, like, have a business and then have a full-time job, he actually started going part-time for his engineering job after that. So, he went part-time, so cut down the hours so he could spend more time with the business. But I spent a little bit of time helping him with the business. I worked for him for a little bit, but I got annoyed and stopped working with him because he didn't pay me. And I was so annoyed because I like worked a whole week and he paid me the first week, and I worked the second week and he didn't pay me. And I was like, what the hell are you doing? I'm not going to work for you if you're not paying me. So that all happened, whatever. I got better after staying with my aunt for a week. For some reason, like, I don't know, just having that regular food, having regular meals put in front of me made me eat. And, oh, this is why I had a different reason why your parents, okay. Well, I don't know what the deal is with him. I still don't know, I haven't figured him out. So I did get over my anxiety until like about a year and a half later. Just being at my aunt's house, being around my aunt and my best friend, and we hung out and we did fun stuff all week, and I just felt much, much better after that. And I went to college. I started taking classes, and I realized, it was different, but it was actually better than high school. So I made some friends. I met Walt. I gained like 15 or 20 pounds back. So I went from like 98 to like 120, something like that. So because I was hanging out with Walt. And that was until like the spring later. And then about a year and a half later, I had a full blown panic attack in the middle of a dress rehearsal. I was all dressed up and I was like on stage singing, and also I was sick. And they make you come to rehearsals and do shows even if you're sick in college because they want you to be professional. They're training you to be professional. So in the professional world, if you're sick and you have to do a show, you need to go do the show. The show must go on. What did this person bring up about your anxiety recently? Well, I'm going to get to that. So, basically, I just ran off stage. It was the middle of a dress rehearsal, and I thought I was having a heart attack. This was more than just like knots in my stomach and nauseous. This was full blown blood pressure spiked, heart is going like 160 beats per minute. But it wasn't just that. It was because I was sick. I was physically sick. I got a case of pink eye from the person in the dressing room next to me. I got a case of the pink eye, and then I also I got some type of bronchitis thing. So I was sick, so I took Sudafed and cough medicine and Tylenol. I took too many pills, basically. I took all this medicine so I'd feel better on stage, yeah. And I took tea, but I didn't take herbal tea. I took tea with caffeine. So all this stuff is not good for anxiety. It causes you, like, Sudafed's not good. It can make your heart race. So I took Sudafed and all this other shit, and I went on stage and was like, ah! And I ran off stage. I was like, I'm dying, call the paramedics. My heart was going so fast. Like, it was it wasn't anxiety. It was like a severe panic attack. And I was like, what the hell? Because I was enjoying myself on stage, but all this other shit going on, like all this physical problems. I went to the ER. They ran some tests. They gave me a Valium. My heart slowed down. They yeah. I've been to the ER at least 2 or 3 times for panic attacks but this was something medically. I was not in good shape. My blood pressure was so high from it. They were like, "You're sick." Medicine can freak you out, but yeah, you have all these different side effects when you take pills. You don't know what's gonna happen. So Sudafed, I found out, is not good for me. I can't take that shit. That makes my heart race. So don't take that. Don't drink caffeine, especially if you have to be on stage, because your heart rate's already gonna go up because you're about to get on stage. I mean, I don't get stage fright, but this was just crazy. So they gave me a Valium. They gave me something for to slow down my heart, like a beta blocker, and my blood pressure. But it was at a dangerous level. I could have calmed down and controlled it if I'd known like what was going on exactly, but at the time it wasn't slowing down. Yeah, they do interact. They do interact when you're taking a lot of things. And this was all over the counter stuff that I had taken. I just was like, I'm sick, and they diagnosed my pink eye. They diagnosed my bronchitis. They're like, you need to go home and go to sleep and not take anything. And they, told me what to take and what not to take. They're like, but ultimately I was like I was diagnosed with an acute panic attack with bronchitis and pink eye. So, that happened. And that was like the last I had of an anxiety attack until like I was mid to late 20s. And I was at a job that was stressing me out like crazy. And I really wanted to quit. And I hated going there every day. And it was a kind of a real job. I was doing like a sales job. And I just like at that point I hit like a rock bottom. This was like I started having anxiety. I would wake up in the middle of the night and my heart would race. I wasn't taking any medicine for it. Like I just like went at that point. It was about a month long. I quit the job, which fixed everything. But this was like back in 2000. I think this was like the year 2000 or something like that. Quit the job. You're intently listening. If I happen to still respond, if I'll say hold it against me. Okay. So, basically, I went through a depression. I went through not only anxiety, I went through anxiety and a depression. I went back to the point where my stomach was in knots every day. I couldn't eat. I lost a lot of weight. I didn't get anemic because I was getting enough food in my system, but I lost a shitload of weight. I wasn't eating. At this point, I actually went and started going to therapy because I was like, all right, this is something that keeps happening. It keeps popping up. It's not like it just goes away. It keeps returning in little pieces, but this came like full blown, like, I just felt like I was in hell. Like, I felt like every day I woke up, I felt like I was punched in the stomach. I didn't feel like going out. I didn't feel like doing anything. I just wanted to stay in bed all day long. And I took a medical leave from my job. And eventually I quit that job. But yeah, I started going to therapy. I got medicine for the anxiety. I started seeing a therapist, and it took like a couple months to get me back to regular, everyday things. I started enjoying, like for a while, I didn't enjoy things that I used to enjoy. Like I'd turn on a TV show and I'd have like no interest in it. I'd just sit there and it was like I was nothing. So something that would make me normally happy wouldn't make me happy. Things that made me happy, I wasn't happy. Like I was just complete and total zombie. And yeah, it took about 2 months, but yeah, I got back on my feet. I got a new job. Um, and uh, for the most part, I haven't had much of an episode yet. Yeah, I'll have like a day here and there where yeah, and a lot of people go through it. I mean, it was a pretty bad I mean, it wasn't like a severe depression. I was never hospitalized for it because I never felt that I was going to harm myself. They were always asking that. They're like, "Do you ever feel like you're going to harm yourself?" I'm like, "No, I don't feel like I'm going to harm myself." Um but I did feel like I was in literally hell. Yeah, you were. And there have been times where I've been like, I felt like I didn't want to live anymore. Like I want to take all my pills. But like ultimately I want to be here, so I never wanted to like I don't think I could actually ever do it, even though at times I felt like I've been punched on my stomach and I wanted to take all my pills. So getting back to how this all ties um, in general, I'm not having a depressive episode. Last month, there were a bunch of events that made me kind of upset. Yeah, it's frustrating when you don't know how to handle it. Um, it's frustrating because you don't know how to explain it to somebody. You're just like, well, this is how I feel right now. But for the most part, like I've sought treatment for it, and I know how to recognize it when it's happening. And I'm like, well, this is what's happening right now. I'm going through an episode, but like for the most part, I've overcome and like I did better. You know, I got back on my feet. I can function. You know, never been felt like I was in danger. Yeah, you have days like that. When you do, you write it down and withdraw. Like I really don't have many days like that anymore. Like for the most part, I get up and I'm pretty happy with everything. Um, but like I said last month, there were a couple days that like after that whole bus trip that I just felt like it had returned or something. Like there were about two I want to say 3 or 4 days, maybe even a week. Excuse me, that I started feeling really like I was in hell again, and I didn't feel anxious. Thank you. Sorry, I keep hiccuping. I didn't feel anxious, but I did feel like just really depressed. Um, and I'm not sure if it was like all this nonsense, all this other bullshit that happened. Part of it was like feeling like I had a bunch of people that I thought were my friends, and then I found out they weren't my friends, or they just like used me. Um, when you think of suicide, it sounds stupid because I think of Stephanie's hugs. That's sweet. You know, you find different things to help you deal with it, you know? You find different everyone has different coping mechanisms, and you know, whatever works. It's kind of like you don't there's no specific formula for it. For it's just treatment. You don't there's no cure for one thing. There is no cure. There's only treatment. Things that can help you overcome and things that can help you feel better. And I really do. I am so glad I met you too, because you guys are really awesome, and I feel like I have such a good friendship and bond. Like you guys don't judge me for anything. Like I can sit here and talk about this shit. People are gonna be like, "Oh, Larissa is this, Larissa is that," but that gets back to what I was going to say. That goes back to somebody. Basically, ultimately, somebody made up a lie, and I don't know if it was the person that was spreading the lie that made it up, or the person that claimed someone else told them that made him up. So made up the lie. But basically a person made up a lie and said that I was so depressed when I went to Europe that they had talked to someone who was in Europe with us on our RV, mind you, and they said that this person didn't feel safe with us because I had threatened to kill myself because I was depressed and to jump out of the moving RV. So this is not true. It's bullshit. It's a lie. I never felt suicidal in Europe. And I never threatened to jump out of an RV. And I mean, if I jumped out of that RV in Europe, I would have just broken my legs or broken my neck. I wouldn't have actually died. But even if that were true, that is not something you go around telling everybody, period. Like, spreading these rumors. Well, the fact is, it isn't true. And I don't know if somebody from our RV actually said that, or the person that's going around spreading this rumor made it up. But either way, I'm pretty fucking pissed about it. When I found this out, because I feel like they found out, like, from Walt or for someone else, that I had issues with anxiety and depression in the past, and they wanted to, like, hit me low below the belt and be like, oh, well, she's crazy, which is fucking bullshit. Because this person is a very vile, selfish, crazy person if they're gonna go around spreading that kind of nonsense. So, I will say one thing, though. I did threaten a few times to get on a plane and go back home. And it had nothing to do with anything except that stupid shit, like, the minute we got there, stupid shit, like, a whole bunch of stupid shit started happening. Like, we left at 7 p.m. at night, we got in there at 7 in the morning, and didn't go to sleep until, like, midnight the next day. And then we were trying to drive with the car and the steering wheel on the wrong side of the road. And then I fell down the steps on the ferry, and I really busted myself up. Like, I fell and really hurt myself. My shoulder, like, got so, like, banged up when I fell down the steps of the ferry. We were on the ferry from England to France, and I went to the bathroom. I came out, and I couldn't find anybody. I was like, where did everybody go? So I went up to the deck, and I'm trying to run all the way back down. Of course, I haven't slept. I fall down the fucking steps, like, out on the, like, the top deck of the ferry. I just fall down the steps. It was so painful. Like, my hand got all bloodied up. It was not good. My shoulder was in pain for, like, it didn't get back to normal until, like, 6 months later. That happened. Then I got super sick to my stomach. Like, I started getting these horrible chest pains. Everything I ate just went right through me. I had to go to the bathroom every 5 minutes. And this wasn't because of anxiety. This is just, like, stupid physical shit. I don't know, like, if the food in Europe just doesn't sit well with me or whatever. And then, and then the laptop, the power cord on my laptop broke. And then I found out that we couldn't plug in any of our devices. Like, we could plug in our phones, but we couldn't plug in my laptop while the vehicle was actually moving. We could only plug it in when we were, like, at a camping spot, plugged into electricity. I don't know why they would make it like that, so there's no outlets in the actual vehicle. Like, I think it's a European thing. It was just, like, stupid shit started happening. And I said several times, I was like, this is annoying. I just want to get in a plane and go back. This was, like, within the first 3 days, too. Also, like, after that, I think after we got to, Amsterdam, because Amsterdam was absolutely awesome, I started, like, really loving what we were doing. But, like, yeah, the first 3 days were so crazy that I threatened. I was just like, I just want to get in a plane and leave and go back. And never once did I threaten to kill myself. Never once did I threaten suicide. Never once did I mention jumping out of the fucking RV. I don't know why the fuck someone would say that. I don't know if someone that was with us actually said that, or someone is making up that someone said that. But either way, with my history, I just feel like it's a fucked up thing, and it makes me angry. Because even if that were true, why would they say that? And why would they wait a year to say it? Because this happened a year ago. And everyone that was with us, and the person I guess they're claiming said it, was fine with us up until about, like, the beginning of last month. So that's pretty much where I'm coming from. That's why I had this whole story leading up to this. It just kind of the whole thing makes me angry, because it's just such a vile thing to say about somebody. Like, oh, I don't feel safe. Like, if I heard, how would that make you not feel safe? If I said, oh, I'm going to kill myself, why would you not feel safe? I never said I was going to, apparently I never said I was going to kill someone else. I just said, if I was saying what they said, I was going to jump out of the RV. So, yeah. And they told this to several people. And, it's just, I don't understand it. I don't understand why someone would make up something other than to, like, defame me, or to, like, whatever. They just have nothing better to do than to make up lies. Like, it makes no sense. So that's where I'm at. It's just like I found this out recently, like a couple days ago. Well, first I found out that the person didn't feel safe with us in Europe. I'm like, well, if someone didn't feel safe with us, why would they stay with us? Why wouldn't they just go home? Two, I found out why, because of that bullshit story. And three, it makes me so angry that they would try and make me feel like I'm a weak person because I have like some type of anxiety. Oh, none of my concerns about anything in life are legitimate because I have anxiety or I have depression or something like that. That's a horrible thing, because the things that I was upset about in Europe, like the things that I was getting annoyed about, are things that like legitimately people would get annoyed about, not someone that was be depressed. It wasn't because I was depressed. It's because I fucking fell down the steps because I got sick and because my laptop wouldn't be plugged in, like stupid shit like that. And I wasn't ever like, it was never this is the end of the world. It was just like, this is not working out. So that's where I'm at. And I told a couple other people this, and they said that they agreed it was pretty vile for somebody to say that about someone else. And I think it's a low blow to say that. And that's that's it. That's my story. I had a good time overall in Europe. We had like I said, we hit a couple bumps in the beginning, from lack of sleep and getting sick, but I have no idea. Well, I have a pretty good idea why this person started this rumor. I mean, yeah, you're welcome. Well, you already knew this. You kind of already knew that, but like now you know where I'm coming from, like my background of whatever anxiety and depression. This is why I have these issues. Well, it's not really a reason why. Sometimes people that live perfectly normal lives, that don't lose parents, that, you know, well, yeah, I mean, I don't, and that's not even all. There's a lot of small details of my story that I, you know, I can't even recall. I can't even remember. There are parts of my childhood that I've literally blocked out. Like my older brother was 6 years older than me, so when all this shit went down with my family, he was off at school. Like my mom got sick when she was like really, really sick. He was off at college. So, but he'll come to me and he'll say, "Oh, remember this, this, this." I'm like, I don't remember any of that. And apparently, I've blocked certain things from my memory. I just don't remember. He's like, "I think you've blocked stuff from your memory." I'm like, "Yeah, I think I have too." Because I definitely, he'll bring up stuff like, "Remember this, this, this." I'm like, I don't remember that. Either that or I just have a really shitty memory. But yeah, ultimately this person, they want to make me look bad for whatever reason, and that's fine. If they have to make up lies to do that, it's pretty sad. And if they have to spread lies to other people to do that, they're pretty fucking sad. And that specific lie is really, really, really a fucked up thing to say or do. Because it's like, why would you put someone down for something that they've struggled with, you know? And it just it just really makes me sick. So I will say that if I do encounter this person again, which I'm pretty sure I will, I'm not gonna have anything nice to say to them. And for the most part, I avoid conflict with people and I try to be cordial, but it's not gonna be nice. It's not gonna be pretty. I'm gonna say something not nice to them, and it won't necessarily be about that specifically. It might just be like, "Go fuck yourself," or something like that, because that's bullshit. And there are at least 4 or 5 people that they told this lie to that are within our own little community, that I don't know if they believe it or not, but at least 1 or 2 people came to me and told me about it and don't believe it. So, and came to me and said, "Oh, this sounds like something that's not true." And I said, "No, it's not true, because I was kind of blindsided by it, being like, well, where did they get that from? Like, what could they possibly... First I was like, what could possibly make them feel not safe? Then I was like, what the fuck are they talking about? This didn't happen. And I think it's ultimately because Walt told this person that I did suffer from anxiety and depression. And they made that up because Walt told them that. And Walt told them that because they wanted them to be compassionate. And instead of being compassionate, they found a way to make up a lie and use it against me to try and discredit me. So, and the worst part is, like, I'm not competing with anybody here. This isn't a competition. I guess it's because we're public figures or whatever. I don't consider myself that. I didn't sign up for that. They see me as a threat. I don't know. I have no idea what this... I honestly, up until the final show, the final concert, I never said anything mean about that person ever in my life. But I found out they were mad that we got invited to an event that was private with a certain celebrity, and we had a limited amount of people we could bring to that event. Like, very limited, and we brought people that we had known for several years, and we didn't bring them. And they found out about it, or we explained to them what the situation was, and we explained them why we couldn't bring everybody, and they were angry about it. So they decided to rally against us. That's ultimately what happened. And that's why they started making this shit up. Like, maybe they're trying to, like, make me look bad to, like, all the other fans and to that whole celebrities team. I have no idea. I don't know what their motivation is. I don't understand the motivation of purposely trying to make someone else look bad. But it seems like in this fandom, I've dealt with a lot of it, and I'm not sure what we're competing for. This isn't a job. Nobody's getting paid. This isn't a career. Nobody here is going to is competing for a friendship, because it's not possible, you know, to be friends with whoever these people are obsessed with. It's never going to happen, because we are fans, and we've been categorized as fans. We're never going to be considered friends. So I don't know why there's a need to compete over it, because it's supposed to be fun. So yeah, so that's where I'm at. There's my story. I feel pretty good about everything in general, other than that happening. You know, what are you gonna do? All I can do is, if someone asks me about it, I can say, no, that's not true. I just know that this lie is going around, and it's just a lie, and either people are going to believe it or they're not. So all I can do is sit here and be like, well, this is what my story is. So I'm probably going to delete some. I'm going to keep it up, but yes, my real friends will know the truth, but you know what? Or they'll just ask me. They'll bother to ask me. But, like, you know, people be like, oh yeah, I know, I heard she suffers from, yeah, I know, she's talked about having anxiety or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, that doesn't mean that I went to Europe and threatened to jump off a fucking moving vehicle. Who the hell would do that? Like, that's just dumb. Yeah. So, and fuck that, man. That RV went 50 miles an hour. It didn't even go fast enough to, like, jump out of, like, if I jumped out, I'd just land. I just, like, jump out, like jumping out of, like, a back of a tractor. That thing went so slow. So, oh yeah, that was another problem. We got to every place that we had to get to. It took forever to get to. It took us like an extra 3 hours because that thing was slower, and we didn't realize that we were getting a vehicle that only went 50 miles an hour. So when we put stuff in the GPS and it said we were going to be from Paris to France and it was going to take 8 hours. I'm sorry, from Paris to Barcelona it was going to take 8 hours. It was actually going to take 10 or like 12 because the vehicle would not move faster no matter how hard we pushed the pedal to the metal. It wouldn't move. It just went a certain speed. Unless it was going downhill, it would go a little faster. But then you run the danger of going downhill and like turning and then like hitting something. Yeah, that was another issue with Europe. But ultimately, I mean, I feel like I had an adventure there, so I'm glad we did it. I don't know if I'd do it that way again because, like I said, that vehicle was dumb. And the camping thing, I think I'd rather do without for a while. Just because, I don't know. Camping is fun. It was fun for the most part, but you never knew what you were going to get with the shower situation. And I need to have a shower. And then not having, you never knew what you were going to get with a Wi-Fi situation either. I mean, all these places had Wi-Fi. Most times they didn't even work, so. But, yeah. Yeah, up until this event, though, that event that I went to, that I was invited to, like, I couldn't invite everybody to because I was given a limited amount of people to bring. These people were chummy. They were completely and totally chummy. So if somebody had an issue with me from a year ago, but they didn't say anything about it until after that event, this is like very suspicious. And if it were up to me now, and it's caused so much anger because people care more about that than they did about being my friend. If I had known that it was going to cause all that nonsense, all this nonsense and all this animosity, I wouldn't have even gone. I would have just said, "Oh no, I'm sorry, I can't go." Like if I could go back and do it again, I wouldn't have gone, or I would have just gone by myself and Walt, and been like, "Oh, we can't bring anyone else because we were the only ones that were invited," you know. And yeah. So that's it. I don't know what else to say other than they're just idiots, and what they said is people can believe it or not, I don't know. But it's a pretty fucked up thing. And I have every intention on not saying something not nice to them if I run into them. But it's pretty fucked up to say that about me. And I have no way of contacting whoever they're claiming said that I said it. So, but if I do run into them, they're probably not, I'm not going to be so nice to them. Everyone else, though, I have no problem being cordial with. You know, people can say or do whatever they want. I don't really matter. It doesn't really matter. But this particular thing really bugs me. So, that's my story. I feel like there's like a little bit more I wanted to add to it, but I didn't. I can't remember what I was going to add to it because I've been talking too much. Yeah, I'm no longer friends with that person. Um, and I think maybe because it was my decision to no longer be friends with them because I found out they were saying stuff behind my back. Uh, I guess that maybe that's why they made all this up. I'm not sure. I'm just trying to rack my brain as to being like why it all comes down to that event, to being invited to an event and not bringing them to choosing to bring other people that I've known for much longer, that have been supporting that specific celebrity. We all know who we're talking about. Who've been going, oh, my hair, freaking hair, who've been going to these things with me since like 2010. Okay, and I've literally known this person since June of last year, and they expect to be invited to something that is a private thing. I don't know. It's just really stupid. And also, if I ever get invited to something like this again, they completely destroyed the chances of me actually bringing them. Because I was actually trying to arrange something similar for people that didn't get to go. And after all this happened, I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to take the time to arrange something similar. Because this is because of all the trouble that it caused. But yeah, I guess the moral of the story is ask. You know, there's two sides to every story, and there's also a much bigger picture in the long run. There's a much bigger picture, and people sometimes only see what they want to see. But I'm gonna go because I'm tired and I've talked a lot. But thanks for listening. If anyone's still awake, anyone's still there? Anyone's still awake? Is anybody awake? You guys are falling asleep on me. Oh, Charnette's awake. That's good. I have to go to bed. I'm tired. I'm probably gonna delete this. Or I might not. I don't know. Ah. Whoever... Oh no, it disappeared.